As I said yesterday, today we're gonna look at Yemen and gonna see how exactly the population is doing and how those people live. Well, if you don't know the Yemen right now, it's in the middle of the civil war, and when you type ongoing wars on the Google, you're gonna get this lit. It's not by the Wikipedia standard. It's not a major war. As you can see here, the map, they categorize that war in around the minor wars. So you can see it right here, the Yemen civil war. In starting from 2014, they have around 382,000 people died there, pretty much. I think this is it's fatalities, and from last year, if I remember, 2024 and 2025. 1,826 last year people die, and this year 680. So it seems, at least for the few months, that the things are heating up there. But yeah, the Yemen civil war is not a news, I would say, and you're gonna look exactly how those people live and the population. Also, as a neighbors, they have Saudi Arabia and Oman. It's gonna be interesting to see and compare with Oman, because yesterday we saw Oman and it's pretty much the best country in the region, I would say. And now we're gonna compare with Yemen, which is a country under they're going pretty much under war, and it's gonna be interesting to see how much it is a difference. Well, let's start then. Yemen population, it's a huge compared with Oman. It's 41 million people, which is insane in number, and you can see just pretty much shooting up. The growing rate, they have a slow trajectory to going down, but we're gonna see how that is gonna play in the future. Now let's look in the past. In 1955 there are around 5 million people, and now 41 million people. So you can see a huge, absolutely huge increase. Yearly change back then was 1.65%. That translates in roughly 80,000 people. Now it's 3%, and that's pretty much 1.2 million people, which is insanely high. Migration was pretty much, you can see here, on the minus, except just 2 years here, but pretty much people trying to leave this area. The median age back then was 18.6 years old. Now it's 18.4, so pretty much extremely stable. But keep in mind, it's an ongoing war there, so the data is going to be, let's say, a bit shaky. Fertility rate, one of those countries, again, insane, just pretty much 8, and now they go down to 4.4. Keep in mind, they still, like I said, it's an ongoing war there, which is insane, and people still have way too many kids, I would say, by the, let's call it a civilized country. I don't want to call it uncivilized, but clearly they have some data that shows that they have a long way until they're gonna reach that civilized status. Urban population, 1955, barely, just not even reach 7%, and now it's pretty much 32%, so not that much an urban country. Global rank, well, back then 68, now 37, so huge increase, let's say. 2050, let's say now we have the projection. Keep in mind, this is a country neighbors with Oman. 70 million people are gonna be projected by 2050, which is an insane number. And growing rate, they're gonna still stay up more than 1%. It's gonna be 1.75%. That's gonna translate roughly 1.2 million people, so very steady. Migration still on the minus. Median age is gonna rise a bit, around 24, and the fertility rate 2.8, so well above the replacement rate. Urban population 38-39%, so still, I would say, a low one. Now those huge, can you imagine, they already have ongoing wars, so have 70 million people living in this country, most of them young, and with not that much perspective to, let's say, improve their life. So probably this war in Yemen is gonna have a long way until it's gonna be ending. So they start in 2014, and probably it's gonna last well above 2050, if not even longer than that. It's just the way it is. I guess it's sad for them, but I will not expect to end sooner than that. Life expectancy for the both is around 70 years old. Female 71, male 67. Not that much difference between them, but again, keep in mind, this is a country in a war. So yeah, It's going to be interesting to see those data. Probably this is the first country that actually make, except Ukraine and Russia, they are actually going in a war, but this is a civil war, so it's going to be a bit different, I would say. Infant mortality rate 30.7, death under age of 5 37 now, so clearly medical system not even close. Again, ongoing war, it's gonna take a lot of tools, a lot of victims on the people, so it's gonna be hard to just make a data from that. The base of the pyramid is pretty much very strong for the population. Like I say, it's still growing. It's sad for them. This is, like I say, one of those very undeveloped country, and that's gonna shows in how much the population is growing. And I have to say by now, it's not gonna look well for them, but it's just the way it is, I guess. Probably the Western world, and especially the UN, it will support in some ways, but with the ongoing war, it's gonna be pretty much just a way to throw money away. But like I say, those people should actually think about themselves, why I need to make a child when my country, the land, let's say not even the country, the land that I live, it's going under the war. In my opinion, it's insane, but it has to have to with the culture and all that stuff. So I guess it is what it is. You cannot explain to those people, they don't understand it, they don't even see the problem with that. But again, a male surplus here. Clearly you cannot talk about migration here. People actually are trying to leave, not to come in this country. But even with that, we have a male surplus, so a lot of them, they'll be willing to die for this war and continue. Like I say, probably this war is going to continue for a long time, and probably even in the middle of the century. I don't think this there's no way when you have that such much population that the war is going to end, especially with so much people to feed that war. Economics, again, not that much to talk about it. GDP, it's around $21 billion, which is pretty much great, I would say, for a country that are going to the war, and especially with that huge increase in population. PPP is be around 72 billion US dollars. Growing rate in 2022 was minus 2%, and still they say it's a growing rate. 2024 minus 1%, and they probably gonna expect the same thing for the 2025. Nominal is gonna be around per capita $628 and PPP 2000, so it clearly is huge, a huge numbers. Decrease, I would say, small, very huge, small number. It just pretty much translating nothing, I would say, but again, it is what it is. You can see here the main export is going to be UAE, India, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, and the main import is going to be China, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and India. Like I said, I don't see anything good happen for them in the next future. Now looking back in the history, well, not that much in this area. You can see here they have some times when they actually can see some improvement, and again, some like the Republic of Yemen from 1990 to the 2016, but not much, I have to say. It's just pretty much you can see here sometimes it's been split in two. Now the main event, as always, we're gonna look exactly how those people actually live there, but I don't know exactly how much. You can find here, you can see very poor street view and 360, but with all of that, I'm still trying to find something to talk about it. Now let's go with the 360. As few as we have, it's going to be interesting to see. In infrastructure, the road doesn't look that well. Keep in mind, we're looking at the garbage and all that stuff, but this is a country at war, in a civil war, so those things are pretty much nothing. It's pretty much teasing on them right now. With those looking at how those people live, how those populations keep their land as clean, and how the architecture is going to look, because again, it's a nice country. They have, especially in this area, a lot of potential, but not for this century. I have to say this century is pretty much done for them. They have some residential area here, but with no 360, nothing to see. It's going to be hard to actually have an idea how those people live. but clearly they have a road here. It doesn't look that bad from above, but also not that great. They are on the short line, so that's always nice to live there, but keep in mind, this is a war. This is not something that you want to experience for yourself. This is not a country that you're gonna visit, but in some area they look pretty good, I have to say. Look at this one here inside. If no bombs going off there, it's gonna be pretty much a nice place to be. With this so few 360, my job is gonna be very easy, but also very poorly made, because like I say, when you have an ongoing war, it's tough to just see something. Now it's interesting because when we imagine, especially here in the West, when you imagine a war, we think at the World War II, and it's pretty much a total war. Every single one of those citizens is going to be involved in that, but in reality it's not going to be exactly that. You can see Ukraine. You have in Ukraine that thing when a lot of people just say, oh, we're going to war, we're going to die there and all that stuff, and on the other side we have all those people that just go into the pool, to the beach, and enjoying the life, which is pretty much very weird. Have someone just dying in a war, and just few, let's say 300, 500, 600 kilometers in the same country, just some people just enjoying the life, enjoying the the sun, the beach, the water, the cocktails, whatever they have. I find that extremely weird, because we still imagine that when you're talking about war, we're talking about someone that's going to be fully involved in the war, and nobody escape the economy of the war and all that stuff. But clearly that's not the case, and it's going to be interesting to see in this country how exactly things are going. Now those 360s, again, it's not gonna give you an exact picture how those people actually live and all that stuff. Most of them, you can see that from inside, probably from the same area. This guy have some brand deal, whatever they have here. We have some 360 in this area, but we have so few of them. I would say that it doesn't even matter that much, but we're gonna check them anyway. Keep in mind, this war started in 2014, and this is pretty much picture from 2023, so well in the war. Now I think the US pretty much involved a bit in this war, more than used to be back in the past, so that's gonna be something to keep in mind, especially how this one gonna evolve in the future. But I project that this war is gonna be one of those long-lasting wars, so anyone alive there, anyone pretty much from the entire life, that's the only thing they're gonna see. Weirdly enough, this road, in my opinion, looks pretty good, especially for the wartime. I have to keep saying that pretty much every single time, because we are checking a country that are going under the civil war. Clearly let's say the rules of the war changed. At least is not how we expected with the ongoing time. Like I said, we expect, especially here in the Europe, when talk about the war, to see pretty much a total war. We are pretty much feed that war, not even World War II was that every single one of those were involved, but a huge part of the population, and clearly every single one of them talk about it and was affected by the war. Now it seems like the war is not how it used to be. It feels like the war, in my opinion, again, a lot of garbage here, but doesn't even matter. We are the country at the war. It feels for me like those new wars that start pretty much in those third world countries. It feels like they're gonna last for much longer than anybody expect, especially with the growing population. And also it feels like, and I saw some videos on YouTube from much bigger YouTubers than me, obviously, and I saw that every single one of them pretty much say the wars are becoming much cheaper, and those proxy wars that the main powers of the world, they kind of like it, because they can confront each other not on their territory, on not directly, but in those other countries, which is a huge advantage for them. Now the wars becoming longer and cheaper, clearly it's gonna be a very bad recipe for the native population there. Yeah, you can see here the architecture, it's It's not that well, obviously the road is pretty much in existence, but still, like I say, it pretty much is the last thing. The first thing that you have in your mind when you're living in those countries, like, how can I survive without a bomb dropping on my head and stuff like that. So clearly a bit of garbage in some corner and an apartment building that doesn't look that great, that is the last of their concern. But with all that, we have to check the country just the way it is. I make those videos to see how exactly those countries are doing. Sometimes we can see with Yemen it happens to be a civil war in the country, just the way it is, I guess, but I still have to do it. I am curious, like I say, how those people actually live and how the architecture look. Now this main road doesn't look that bad, I have to say. The architecture of the building is pretty much, let's say, typical for this region, so nothing extremely well. They have illuminated road, and this is in 2016, so just 2 years after the starting of the civil war. I don't have that much information about why they have what is happening and how they got here. Usually I'm not that interested. It doesn't if doesn't affect me directly, but oh, that's nice. That's pretty nice there. But in this case, like I say, I don't have that much information. But if you are interested in that, clearly you can find with like 5 minutes or 10 minutes googling or watching another YouTube videos about what's happening there. You can find that information very fast. Now I have no idea how many people in Yemen actually watching YouTube and if they find this video, but I am willing to ask them if they can comment on this video and tell us exactly what's happening there and how they think the future is gonna look for them. Because like I say, we have that idea that the war in one of those regions is gonna be a total war, but it's not exactly the case how it's going, especially with the long going wars. But now look at this, the architecture is pretty much every single building, it's looking the same. It's very crowded, very small spaces here. They have a nice river here and some decent road, let's say like that, and some bridges here, so clearly they spend some money here. Keep in mind, this is a very, very poor country. I mean, how much money they have per capita, usually going for the GDP, the nominal one, $628. It's pretty much nothing. That's nothing. Yeah, the PVP it's a bit higher, but still nothing. You have to say just the way it is. Clearly they have some nice area. Now there are day and night difference between this country. Have a bag on the mirror. Between Yemen and Oman. Oman, it's a much more welcoming country. It's a country that actually it was the best country that I saw in the region, and I don't have a exactly situation of the how this country is doing political there and how stable it is, but even for visiting. But from what I see, if you have the stable, they have clearly a much more stable population. They are still growing in Oman too, but not at the insanely great that they have in Yemen. I would say Oman is pretty much the best country to visit, to travel there right now. Better than Saudi Arabia, better than UAE and anything that we saw so far. So yeah, but even Yemen, they have some nice beaches here, but clearly extremely underdeveloped. I have no idea who wants to travel in this country, if not only if you have, let's say, a war journalist or stuff like that, or you want to film a documentary. Otherwise, I have to say I do not recommend it. This is one of those old style of buildings, so we're not gonna judge that. Obviously, this is the new style. We're gonna judge that too. It's not doesn't look that great. Again, you have an ongoing war in a country. It's very difficult to just having even the slightest opinion what's happening here and how it's gonna be in the future and how those people live. Clearly, the main purpose right now is even to move to another country or just trying to survive in any way possible, in any way of shape of surviving. Now, having the bad luck to be born in a country in the middle of the civil war, I don't have exactly, like I say, it doesn't look that's gonna be that extremely aggressive. Like I say, we have how much victims we have. So Yemen civil war total 382,000, and this year 680. So clearly it's not a very aggressive war, but clearly the anxiety, let's say, is there 100%, and the economic is gonna suffer a lot from that. I don't know anyone who wants to invest anything in Yemen if it doesn't have, let's say, some war interest or stuff like that. Otherwise, probably you want to stay away from this region. But hopefully, who knows? But I say probably the war is gonna continue for a long time. So don't think for a second that this war is gonna stop. And it doesn't matter. Like I say, you can have like 100 fatalities, let's say, per year. It's still an ongoing war. You're not gonna get that much investment there. You're not gonna start to put some to have a real base ground for growing an economy. At least not in a real way, especially for that many people. That's, like I said, that's the biggest problem that they have. It's that huge overpopulation. From 2050 in 25 years, it's gonna be 70 million people, which is insane. And I bet even when they reach 70 million people, the country is still gonna be in a war. They have some nice areas, like I say, Oman still better. You can see pretty much there is a country, Oman in Yemen, in the mirror in this region. They have probably a lot to offer if they develop a very well tourism industry, but for that they need peace. And even when they achieve peace, they still need some years to just wash the image of the war and laid some really good grounds for people to travel there. So yeah, it's not gonna be easy. This guy have a shop here, probably is doing windows and doors, whatever that looks like. But again, keep in mind, it's one of those extremely poor countries. Some businesses like poor countries because for the cheap labor, but they don't like it when they have to fight. When you go in the country where they fighting each other. So yeah, that's always a deal breaker. Let's call it like that. Look at this, how this graveyard, how many cars and trucks they have there. And judging by that, like I say, it looks like those wars that starts today, there's gonna be more and more, and also longer. The main powers, they're gonna pick a side and they're just gonna finance that. They're gonna provide weapons, intelligence, and all the things that they need, because for them it's very cheap to support one of those sides, especially in those countries that are very undeveloped country. They don't need that much infrastructure to offer them, and they can, let's say, project some power in the region, and also they can engage with their main enemy. Let's say, for example, USA and Russia, or USA and China. If one of the sides supports one of them with information, weapon, stuff like that, you can test weapon. You can see how the other side is gonna react to different choices that you make in a warfare right there. And for the main countries of the superpowers, is good because you don't have the war inside your country. But for those countries that pretty much host the war, let's call it like that, I don't think how fast and how well they're gonna recover in the short term, which is pretty much none of them. Now again, for Yemen, we still have that idea, like I keep saying, that the war, it means total war. Every single one of them is involved in a war, but it's not the case, obviously. They have some weird architecture here in the mountains. Again, extremely poor country. We cannot expect anything from them, I have to say. I think the main city is here in the south. You can see a lot of those areas, the urbanization, let's say, of the area. Clearly this one is going to be much more developed, but even by judging by those 360, it doesn't look that well for them. yeah, it's not much you can say, it's not much you can hope. If you're born in one of those countries and for some reason I can understand how people just keep making more humans here when we have a pretty much ongoing war and nothing to offer. But it is look at this is how horrible living standards are here. It is a trend in those very poor countries, even if I don't even call this urbanization. This is pretty much chaotic. It's chaos. I don't see that as an urban area. It's just some people living together, very close, very jammed together, and for whatever reason, they still like to go there for making probably just a bit more money. Yeah, it doesn't look good at all. Clearly, I don't recommend to anyone to. I don't think if you can even travel in this country. Probably they have some ban in traveling areas. Clearly, it's an ongoing war there. So yeah, especially for those people like from European Union and USA, they kind of have at least a strong recommended not to travel in those countries. Then those are the people with real, let's say, purchasing power with the money. Let's call it like that, just the way it is. People who actually have money to travel and spend in vacations. Clearly, they're not gonna choose Yemen for their vacation 100%. So that's clearly is gonna take a toll on economy. The land itself, like I say, is not bad at all, but you can see how bad it is when you have that many people to manage. Let's say compared with Oman, they have far less than that, and clearly they don't have an ongoing war in their land. It's not that great. Even from here, even like I said, it's not gonna happen. But even if the war starts tomorrow, they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have anything. Probably gonna have some government. It's gonna be a corrupt one. It's gonna try to sell it everything they have to the West, and they're gonna take it. They're gonna pretty much, let's say, it's gonna be, oh, we're gonna build from the small ones. We're gonna build a hotel here. Just give us the land, and you're gonna recover the investment to the taxpayer, to the taxes that we're gonna pay, and hopefully that tax is gonna be that much. Otherwise, we're not gonna build a hotel in the first place. And stuff like that. Usually this is how it's going with the West, but for the average citizen there, yeah, doesn't look that great. 100% leaving the country, not also a good idea, because it's gonna pretty much the only choice that they have is gonna be USA. Only choice, not the only choice, but the main choice. I say the best ones is gonna be USA and European Union. And me as a European, it's not a great idea. Obviously, we don't want more migrants here. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. What is this is like a village, a fishing village to me. We don't have 360s here, but we have one here. It looks pretty nice, interesting. Yeah, like I keep saying, in Europe, pretty much you're gonna see in the next few years a new policy that is gonna pretty much reject all the unwanted migration, and they're gonna focus, okay, you're gonna let migrants from culture similar to you, and if it's not a culture that's similar to you, they have to be the best of the best from their country. So they're gonna take, I don't think the doctor is gonna make that much of a difference. They still have a lot of doctors, but they're gonna take the best, let's say, engineers, if that's such a things. And this trend is not going to keep that much, because with AI and the new technology that pretty much is going to replace the human creativity and the engineering, even that is not going to be, let's call it a green card to enter those countries. So yeah, if you live in one of those countries, even if you go in other countries close to, similar to culture to you, but it's not going to be that wealthy. But for those Western countries, I believe it's pretty much over, especially like I say in the next few years. Right now maybe you have a chance, but not that much. But in the next 5 years, probably the European Union is gonna pretty much close the borders, and the USA, they already start doing that with the shifting trends that we say here in Europe. I bet that, like I say, in 5 years it's going to be extremely hard to enter the European Union. Even if you go illegal migration, let's say on the boat, they're going to say, oh, they have to take it. They're going to change that too. So good luck with that. Yeah, it's kind of for them, I have to say, look, they're still living in those whatever houses. What is that? For them, not that much choice. Even you fight the war and hope that's gonna end as fast as possible, and also hope for them it's gonna have a great government, and you have one of those great comebacks, which I highly doubt that, or just take the loss and that's it. You have bad luck born in one of those countries, just the way it is. And also you can minimize your, let's say, your expectations, and probably we didn't play, I would say, with that idea too much, which we, from those people living in those countries, they have to pretty much. That's why I would say they have that. You don't have that much money, you don't have much perspective for the future. They say, well, we're gonna do kids, whatever, we're gonna do more kids for fun, whatever. But those people are gonna have to live in the future, and with the way the country is going, it's not gonna be a great one. And probably in back of their minds, they're gonna say, oh, we're gonna go to the West and they're gonna welcome us and gonna give us the free healthcare, the free housing, the free that. But clearly, I have to say right now, that era, it's about to end, and I have no idea where you're gonna go from this. Expect you're gonna remain in your country and trying to make the best from what you have, even if it's not that much. Yeah, otherwise with Yemen, can see bad planning, bad architecture in most of the area, no infrastructure pretty much whatsoever. It's a country at war for already 10 years. Not that many fatalities as you expect, but still a country at war. The investments from outside in different areas that are gonna help the economy is gonna be pretty much non-existent. I would not advise anyone to travel in this country. I would not advise anyone to invest not even $1 in anything that they have here, at least not until the war is over and you have some stable government and actually gonna trust, which, like I say, I highly doubt that's gonna happen. The population is still going insanely high, a lot of garbage here, so even here, so clearly they don't maintain. I get it's a war, but still, you can't swim in garbage. Sad for this population, sad for have such a land on this planet with so many people that cannot understand how things works, and they cannot understand that just growing the population to the infinite is not a result. It's not gonna end well for them. It's just gonna pretty much perpetuate the war. Yeah, it's sad for them. We can see pretty clearly not that much education there for the main population, no healthcare system. It just, they pretty much exist in again, going back here, they exist in the land. That's the best I can describe it. They are there and that's it. No perspective for the future, no vision, no nothing. Again, when I make those videos, have to understand this is just my opinion. Don't agree with that, fine, no problems. I highly doubt that someone from Yemen is gonna watch my videos, but if you do, just tell in the comments how exactly you see your country is doing right now and how it's gonna be in the future, because I just said my opinion, and clearly it's not a very bright one. Doesn't have a bright future, but again, it is what it is. But I cannot understand those people that decided to make more kids, have more kids, when your country is doing so poor, and by having more kids it's gonna do even worse than it's doing today. So probably you're living the best times right now in your life here, especially as a young person. In the future probably it's gonna be even worse, but it's sad they don't understand that, just the way it is. I believe in the future we're gonna see the West pretty much kind of get the idea. even the West have so too many people, and they kind of see that, and the population will start to going down, especially once the migration is gonna stop. The population is still going down, and those who are in the West, they're gonna live much better lives, and I believe it's gonna be a huge difference between the West. They're gonna build a lot of walls and a lot of infrastructure to keep everyone outside the West outside, and those people who live outside the West, they're gonna still struggle. It's gonna be probably like 100 200 years behind the West, and the difference is gonna be pretty much day and night, and it's just the way it is until they don't they understand that more people is not gonna save you, more people is not gonna make your life better. Yeah, there are some point, like I say, in the past, that yeah, we need more people to be creative, to invent things, to improvement, like we saw in the past. But in the future, with the West is gonna use pretty much exclusively AI to power their civilizations. There will be, this guy sells perfumes here. There'll be pretty much no need for human creativity. In the West, pretty much you're gonna have that basic income, and it's probably is gonna get, with lower population, the basic income is gonna get bigger and bigger by the year. And I'm not agreed that much with that, because you're gonna still rely on the government for that, which is a bad way to do, because the government is people, and people cannot be trusted, in my opinion. But they're gonna still live much better lives than, not that much free. We're gonna have our problems too here in the West. We're gonna struggle with keep our freedom, but most likely we're still gonna have much better lives overall than anyone outside the West. And I can draw the line in the West, in the Schengen area, the European Union, and Commonwealth countries, and the United States of America, Japan, Israel. It's gonna be also the Western country. They're doing very well there, and they're probably gonna continue to do, and they're gonna do much better in the future. Those are pretty much South Korea. You can see the established one. You can see the Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the colonies of the British Empire, and all that stuff. They're doing okay right now, doing well right now. A lot of garbage on this beach, yeah. They're gonna do well in the future. Yeah, I know we're supposed to talk about Yemen, but we got to the other path. But like I said, in Yemen, it's not much. I want to see how those people live, and that's it. I didn't have much hope for them. Yeah, you can see just how you can judge some. You can judge it because they live in this garbage, and I still, let's say, judge them for that. You can clearly clean them up, but it's a country at war. You can see the difference between a civilized country. Even if when you are at war, you still keep your house, your yard clean, and other people in other countries that clearly they don't care about that. They have some, let's say, good landscape. If you show me this landscape, I'm gonna say, whoa, that's pretty much, this is look like gold to me. Gonna say, okay, that looks like Australia to me. See, they still have some nice areas that can profits, let's say, they can monetize that in a tourism area, but clearly they are not in that timeline for them. They are not even in the range for them to just do that. It's just, from what I see here with the Google Street View, with those 360s, not a good future for them. It's bad. It's bad. There's no kind words I can describe it. There's no better way to say this one. Okay, they just start the construction here, then they stop it. Clearly they lack a lot of money. Yeah, the workforce is gonna be cheap, but like I say, once the European Union country is gonna use more and more robotics and AI technology to just power their industries, and try to move as much as those low income jobs, and pretty much automate it, make it so automatic, make it so robotics for those AIs and robots. They're gonna pretty much give up on the immigrations. Like I say, European Unions and also the United States, they don't take migrants for the goodness of their hearts. Stop believing that. They take migrants to cheap labor, and that's it. They don't care about anything else. and once that it's out of the table, and you can see with the population moving to voting to the right hemisphere of the politics, you're gonna see a huge changes in that. If you didn't come in European Union or European countries or the USA by now, it's gonna be, like I say, much tougher to just go from now on. Especially, like I say, probably you're gonna have like some 5 years, and you can probably still very hard to reach after that, after 2030. Good luck with that. It's gonna be extremely hard. They're gonna protect the borders fearless. They're gonna get more laws, just pretty much protect with any means possible. What is this? Just body smoking, this one. Yeah, it just happened to tell this on the Yemen video. I didn't wait until I make this video to say those things, just like I say, happened. Yemen, a country at war. What else can I do? Can I say? Yeah, if you live there, I'm willing to read your comments and how exactly things are going there, how you see the future is gonna be there. But from my perspective, nothing great came out from this one, and probably the war is gonna continue, even in a shape or sometimes even more aggressive, sometimes even more mildly, at least by 2050. So it's gonna be a long road, and those civil wars usually go for a long time. I expect them a long and painful war, and especially for those people who have the bad luck to get born there. My main advice for them is gonna be, don't procreate that much. Those numbers are pretty much insane. Look at our neighbor Oman, less few people, much more rich, much better than pretty much anyone in this Arab Peninsula. So take them as a model, because they kind of figured it out, I would say, a much better way of living in this region than anyone else here so far. Yeah, the next video that I make tomorrow, we're gonna go up north, and probably we're gonna look at Jordan. Yeah, we're gonna go with Jordan, and then Iraq, and then Syria, and gonna move our way up in this region and finish this one. Well, not well, I would say, but it's a region with a lot of resources, a lot of interest, let's say. And here in Yemen, they have a long way until they're gonna start actually developing their country and the population. But with those numbers, 70 million, 71 million by 2050, it's hard to imagine that anyone there is gonna have a good life with pretty much how they imagine, at least by the Western standards. Just like I say, the way it is.